Are your nets ready? I was so convicted by that question earlier this year when my wife Leah asked me that. I had goals for our ministry, and I was so sure, and I've been praying for it and praying about it. And then she asked me, she said, Scott, are your nets ready? And I knew exactly what she was talking about. I've been praying for an increase. I've been praying for expanded opportunities. And that was going to require other people to get involved, to come into our ministry. But I was still wanting to handle everything on my own. Up to that point, I'd handled everything on my own. But I'd limited our capacity because I was scooping up potential with a little net. And here I've been praying for an increase and opportunity. But then that increase would have required me to release control over what I'd always handled for the last several years. So it was such a contradiction that I'm praying for more, but I'm still carrying around that little bitty fish net, right? That little bitty thing you scoop out the aquarium with. I was so convicted by that. And you know, when I read, and I knew what she was talking about, it comes out of Luke 5. And so Jesus he goes to the shore, and then these guys are fishing, and he hops on the boat, and he asks me, he says, just go out a little bit, just to get a little distance from the shore. And he says, and when he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, put out into the deep water and let down the nets for a cast. Now, these are professional fishermen. They've been working their tails off all night, and they had nothing. And here this guy comes walking down the beach. Didn't even have a fishing pole. He's just walking down the beach, and he starts talking, and he's going to tell these experienced fishermen how to get it done. And Simon says, Master, we've worked hard all night and haven't caught anything, but because you said so, I'll let the nets down. When they had done so, they caught such a large number of fish that their nets began to break. So they called their friends to come over and help out. So there's a couple lessons in this. Their nets were not prepared for the bountiful catch. They'd been fishing all night. They'd been hoping for a big catch. What if they had actually achieved that goal of increasing? Maybe it's you're praying for an increase in salary or promotion or relationship or whatever it is. Are your nets ready to receive God's blessing? Or are you just kind of like talking and hoping, right? Like, I want a new job. I want to be promoted. So if God blesses you with that, are you ready to receive that promotion? Have you put in the training, the time, the experience, the education? Have you been mentored? So when you are given that opportunity, when all the catch, when all the fish, when all the bounty comes pouring into your life, are you ready to receive that? Or are you going to find yourself in a big corner office and don't have a clue what you're supposed to do? And like these fishermen, right? How much of that bountiful catch was wasted when their nets began to break? Why? Because they'd not prepared their nets. Not just at the moment, but days, weeks, months, years before. They've been out there expecting a harvest. They've been out there expecting a catch. But they're out there with some old ratty nets that weren't ready to take them to the next level. Are we living kind of with a ratty net? Have we not given the time, the training, the effort, the prayer? Have we not prepared ourselves to receive that next blessing? Look, my wife convicted me with that simple question. And my answer to her was, no, they're not. And God knew that I needed to be asked that question because I wanted something that I was not prepared to receive. And God protected me by not immediately answering that prayer, because had he brought in those opportunities, I would have squandered them. I would have let a lot of people down. I'd have really embarrassed myself. I'd have wasted the catch because my nets weren't ready. So it gave me a call to action that if I want to receive God's blessing, because God wants to bless you, he wants to fill your nets with fish. He wants to provide for you. If you're willing to obey Jesus and do something that's maybe contrary to what you even think is right? Maybe you're looking for a spouse. God's like, why don't you try this? Why don't you go here And you're like, no. I've been to all these churches. Ain't no single people. Why don't you do this? I mean, are you willing to be obedient? Are you willing to surrender to God's prompting, even if it's against your sensibilities? Even if it's against your better judgment and your experience, because you know better? Are you willing to do that? And if you are you really ready to receive what you're asking for? You know that old saying about be careful what you ask for. You might just get it. Look, had I received what I've been asking for, what I've been praying about, I'm telling you, it would have been a disaster. It would have ruined me. It would have ruined me. So when you're praying, be aware. Understand the power of your words. Understand the power of God's love for you. He wants to bless you so much that He will pour those fish into a net. And whether the net's ready to receive is up to you. It's up to you. So, are your nets ready? Are your nets ready to receive the blessing that you've asked for? And if they are, continue praying with full expectation that God's going to fulfill that promise. And if your nets are not ready, take these opportunities to understand that God's protecting you. Maybe He's tucked you away to the backside of the desert. He's protecting you until you can get yourself ready to receive the blessing. So, come on. Look, the next time my wife asked, I was like, yep. Yep, my nets are ready to go, girl. Let's get it. Are your nets ready? So, God bless you.